It'd be like if you've seen it from the side, our feet would be touching on both sides of the crust.
That's what I was going to
It,
ask you. Exactly.
yeah. Um, and I
Do you think?
really don't think that
I'm sorry.
I really don't think that the people down there like us very much.
Well, that's right. Now, Admiral Byrd, you know more about his story about what and who he encountered,
Hmm.
and why don't you tell me about that?
He said that he encountered lush valleys, very healthy earth, and they didn't want to really tell people about it um, because they wanted to keep it pure. And as a result, everything that was published on Bird's mission was gobbled up by the government. Like literally, they went and bought out every copy of the National Geographic magazine that was printed and the newspapers and fucking destroyed them.
And he was sworn to
Um,
secrecy too, wasn't he?
I don't think so because he was singing like a canary. He even went on, I forgot which show it was.
Oh, I saw that. Yes, you sent me that clip. That's right. And he talked about the resources.
Rich and lush resources. He also said something crazy that I haven't really put my finger on yet. It was that the earth was shrinking.
Oh, yes, I heard that, and I played that back a couple times too.
What do you think it is?
Well, I I'm not I'm not 100% sure because you think about the physics, the just the physics of the or as we're told, I guess I should say, the only knowledge that we have is what we're taught. You and I both know that there are people
Mm-hmm.
still debating on whether the Earth is flat or not, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's for those who won't or who can't, take time to actually. I mean, because the only information we know is what are the photos that we get. The When I was a kid, I had a few telescopes, and so I would always pick out Saturn and Jupiter, and through my own eyes, if it's not a holographic sky, right, I saw round planets. The moon appears to be round, and it would only make sense that the Earth is a round sphere. But as far as it
Yeah.
shrinking, the only thing I could even remotely say is that if the universe expands, then it would have to contract. There's a balance in everything. If Pangea, the supercontinent that they said existed, if it's broken up and all the continents are spreading out, it would only make sense that they would. It's like a ripple. They spread out, but they also come back together. Now, when he said shrinking, I don't know if he means the circumference. I don't know if he means the sphere is taking up less volume, or does he mean the land masses are moving together?
I'm not sure. But it's something to think about, especially when you were talking about the circles within the circles within the circles. The
Yes.
easiest way to visualize that, anybody who's ever seen 13 Ghosts, you have these spinning wheels within wheels within, by the way, that is an Enoch reference, that is biblical. It does talk about this very um, circle within circle, the earth structure. And it also says that at the poles are portals and things come out of the portals.
Yes. Yes. I was just watching some videos lately about UFO footage, which I did that little video for Russell Brenniger's book, Overlords of the Singularity, which
Mhm.
I'll push that book forever. I got 3 chapters in, and he was already blowing my mind, and it's like $9.99 on Amazon or something for the e version, but it just and I'm not the only one. Friend of mine, Kendall, she read it too. She got 3 chapters in, and she's like, "Okay, I gotta stop because there's already enough information that makes you rethink everything were taught, everything you think you know." And of course, his whole experience comes from a near death experience. When he, it's in that pursuit of transcendence that I talk about. To step outside the self, and
Yes.
this physical world is its own poison because this is all we think there is. I mean, we don't even see the full spectrum of light. But in talking about the Hollow Earth, and again, trying to understand what Bird meant, because if you watch that clip, and I should have shared that into the Socratic method or All Theories Welcome. Both are awesome groups there. The if you watch that interview, the one of the interviewers, you can see he's looking off camera, and it's almost like he's not really reading from a teleprompter.
Coach.
It's like he's being talked down. And Bird seems terribly reserved to me in that interview, because he doesn't mention a thing about seeing mammoths or a lot of greenery. In fact, what was it in his diary, his journal, that his son published after his death, that he talked about going to meet a race of people on the inner earth?
That's a fake. You can find the original version, but I meant to tell you that earlier. The one that's floating around is government put out. It's fake.
So the government would again, see, it's almost like what Braun said. So the government would put out something that says Admiral Byrd went to meet a benevolent race of beings who warned him of the impending doom of nuclear war. Because that's what he said.
Don't you think they have to set up an invasion?
What's that?
They have to set up an invasion.
Well, that's true. That's true. I mean, with all these warnings, that we've been given, and we look at, I mean, what was it, Aldrin and Cooper both going to the moon, and then they come back and they're saying that the younger generations, he said in that speech, have to look through the veil of secrecy that's in front of them. I mean, it's like, how much more cryptic can you be when you're talking to a guy who was in outer space? Are we alone? I mean, why is humanity, again, we're kind of got to jump back to religion there, because everybody, they says, of the entire universe, this is where God chose to put people. That life cannot exist anywhere else, or most think, because this is the heaven. This is the perfect home. And rather than
Eden, the heart planet.
Yes, Eden, and which also has been brought up as what the inner earth may have actually been at one time. There's a cave in China that was making the rounds a while back, and the entire cave is massive, but it has its own entire ecosystem within it. Its own, you see these endangered species they say are endangered. A friend of mine, Delania, she goes caving all the time, and she's always having these pictures of those little albino-looking, fish and crawdads, and the ones that never see light, but they live. And I mean, in the concept
yes.
of Hollow Earth,
my cousin was telling me about those.
Oh, they're neat. I've seen a few. Actually, it was at Mammoth Cave that we went down. They used to have what they called the Hidden River Tour, in which you got in this boat and you would go along this river. I mean, it was like 3 or 4 mile river under, down in the cave. But they stopped that in the 90s. The last I heard, they have not restarted it, because they said that having people down there would mess with the environment. That it would, it's kind of like going into a cave, and you have cave paintings. You don't touch them because the oils will, mess with the artwork, the petroglyphs, But how many stories have been popping up of people encountering reptilian races that are under the earth?
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is a reptilian species that is native to that planet, to this planet, and they were here a long, long before we were.
Because
this is not. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mayans, they seem to have reptiles, and there are other places in the world that depict dinosaurs, when supposedly these people had no ability to know what a dinosaur would look like, because they were supposed to be extinct.
Yes, and also another thing is when you were talking about religion saying Earth was very, very important, right there is truth within a lie. Biblically speaking, it is a truth within a lie. Because the Earth, the reason why the Earth is special, and no, it's not the only planet that has beings. The reason why the Earth is special is because it is the Earth and the Sun are the only 2 points where you can get in and out of this reality. I mean, you could. It's like gates. The major gates to this system are on Earth and at the Sun, and the Sun is dying right now because they fucked it up trying to go through it. The Sun is also a portal. So I'm sorry if anybody was new to that, and now they're like, "What the fuck? My bad."
Yeah, you
But
actually.
that's what it is.
Well, actually, for a second there, of course, you fixed it, but you did you got cut out just a little bit. Big surprise, right? But because this is not the first time we tried to do this, is it, Megan?
No, this is the third.
Yeah, and we were going to talk about MK Ultra once, weren't we?
Oh yes, that was a kicker. They did not want me on for MK Ultra at all.
Well, you've got more that you said that anybody through this thing will ever hear, and
Yes.
you know what I'm saying there, and it's a it's a bit of insanity when you think about. Again, I don't knock anybody's belief system or religion, but the people that maintain that Earth is only 6,000 years old.
No, that is not true.
Well, look at Göbekli Tepe. You know of that place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the lady.
Isn't that one of the major Stargate locations?
One of the what? I'm sorry?
Major Stargate locations like Machu Picchu.
Yes, and that was a part of the lady's problem. And you could tell I didn't. I mean, this is just total random banter here, as you call it, because otherwise I would have all this information in front of me. But when she discovered it, she pointed out that because so many places line up astronomically, that this thing lined up in a way that back at the time, because the North Star Polaris, it actually, the wobble of the planet actually over I don't know how many years that the North Star actually changes because it would line up, everything lined up astronomically had the North Star been, well, darn it wasn't Arcturus. I can't remember what star it was, but that dated Göbekli Tepe as one of the oldest, if not the oldest, points of civilization, because astronomically it was lining up before a time when allegedly people were wandering around or something,
Mm-hmm.
So she gets ridiculed by her entire profession, pretty much ending her career because she made, surprise, a ridiculous claim. And if
All the best people are crazy.
yeah, I've heard that. And I think you're proving that more than anybody, I think. But it's a compliment. But if you remember the first the only, in my opinion, Stargate movie, the first Stargate with Kurt Russell, it opens with James Spader talking about he's talking about Egypt, and he's talking about and then they go and they kind of ridicule him because they said, well, who do you think built the pyramids? Maybe it was Martians. Maybe it was people from Atlantis. And then look what's happened since then, because the ties to Atlantis and Lemuria and the inner Earth and other races of or species, I guess you would say, of aliens. I don't even remember. I don't even remember what the last count of the number of races of aliens there are supposed to be.
Oh man, it's a lot. It's a lot.
But
it's not hundreds, thousands.
It's even in, we have of course Kentucky's pretty, as I said, Mammoth Cave is supposed to be. Last I heard, there's a cave in Russia that competes with it. But at last I heard Mammoth Cave is supposed to be the longest known cave system in the world. At least it was during the 80s and 90s. Like I said,